What's going on, guys? So as you saw in one of my prior videos, I picked this up from Florida, which is my dream car. It's a 78 Porsche 911 SC, and basically it's going to be a budget build. I got rid of my E46 drift car build, if any of you remember that from any of my old videos way back. And basically that was a really, really expensive build. And I bought a Porsche because this is going to be cheaper to build. I'll explain how it's going to be cheaper, but it's going to be cheaper. Basically, the BMW is going to be super, super gnarly. And I didn't want to, like, tone it down too much because then it would just be a regular old drift car. And I have my kart, so, like, I don't really need a regular old drift car. Unless I'm getting like a super budget drift car, and then that was already too far. So basically, I'm going to tell you my plans and show you everything that I already have for this. And once the A86 cart is finished, then I will be putting in a ton of work on this. I haven't really put in much work on it yet, just because it's not as important as getting customers' cars done. Because I don't want to make customers mad, because that's stupid. They give me money to put into this thing. So far the only things I've really done is I pulled out the back seat junk. There was a little bit of carpeting on the center console, and I obviously started stripping it using aircraft remover. That stuff is super strong. Be really careful if you use that. It will definitely make you choke on your whatever, something. I've pulled the oil cooler out and a couple random little accessories. And I pulled that shock out because I'm working with the owner of, or the general manager of BC Racing to make a custom set of coilovers for it. And then I'm also going to be making a custom set of coilovers for up front. I'm also going to be making one of those cool videos, those cool restoration videos of restoring the Fuke wheels. They're pretty rough right now, but they're worth a pretty penny once they're restored. I have this fiberglass wide body kit. I'm pretty sure this little lip here is so you can rivet it on and then mold it, but I absolutely hate molding fiberglass to steel. So I'm going to be cutting that off and probably do riv nuts with exposed bolts. So it'll look, this whole car is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like pristine, but it's going to be nice. And then I got this Carrera tail, I think that is. And then I added a little extra little ducktail to it. And that and the full wide bodies I picked up on Facebook, actually. I picked them up like a couple of months ago, if not more, for $400. So pretty good deal there. Definitely a lot cheaper than buying it new. Up top, I'm going to get rid of the sunroof, and I'm going to take a fiberglass mold of this area, and then I'm going to take that, turn it around, boom, put it there, do a sunroof delete, but that's also going to be riv nutted in so that if I want sunroof chilling with the top open, then I just unbolt it and it's good to go. In the frunk area, we're gonna have a radiator right there, and possibly a fuel cell right over top of it. Battery somewhere up there, fuel system somewhere up there. I'm not totally sure how it's all gonna work out yet because I haven't really started planning that. I'll be taking the entire factory chassis harness out, selling that because that's probably worth a pretty penny, and making a custom chassis harness. It's going to be a bit more extensive than my usual like race car harness, like the kart or the JZ car, but it'll still be a lot slimmer than that, that's for sure. Since I'm keeping it super budget friendly, I don't want to, ball out on everything, just the necessary stuff. And obviously I'm not going to spend money on something that's super shitty if I don't think it's safe. But I got these rep seats. They're basically bride reps without the label on them. They're red. I got the Nardi rep, which I'm not entirely sure of right now. It's a bit flimsy, but I'm not planning on driving this car very hard, so it might be okay. If you drive your car hard, you really don't want to run a rep wheel. It's a bad idea. Trust me. They just fold. The interior is going to be all red. I got red carpet already. And then we're going to have just a simple harness bar, no cage or anything. And just a simple little package tray back there. Keep it super clean, super simple. New sound deadening in the whole car. Most of the sound deadening is already chipped up. So it's going to be a nice, quiet-ish ride. This dash is a little messed up. It's from the 70s. A company in Colorado Springs actually sells a carbon fiber dash. It's like $600. So I'm probably going to grab that just because it's a great upgrade versus the broken one, and I don't feel like fixing that since it's only $600 and carbon fiber would be super, super rad. Now back here is where the good stuff is going. We're doing a Subaru EG33, which is out of an SVX. I already bought the SVX, which is out back. I'll show you that in a second, even though it's dark out. And that's going to be mated to a WRX trans, which is right here. WRX trans is getting the reverse ring and pinion, and I already started shortening. So basically this gets covered. I have to weld that area, and then it gets a reverse ring and pinion and the center diff lockout so that it works being backwards, since it's obviously going to be backwards in the rear engine setup. And then also I'll be selling the factory brakes, which are, you know, tiny and old, and I will be replacing them with some newer rotors. The fronts are getting rotors from a 86 Porsche 944 Turbo, and I'm using some Willwood calipers with custom brackets that I'll be designing, and the brackets will obviously be for sale after I make sure they work well. This is the engine from a Subaru SVX. Well, this is a Subaru SVX. Ugliest thing Subaru ever made, I think. It's a 3.3 liter flat 6 engine. It makes about 230 horsepower, which is more than that car made factory. Getting rid of the power steering, getting rid of the AC, because that shit's for pussies. So we'll just be running the alternator. It'll look pretty cool. I'm gonna powder coat a bunch of stuff. So we'll see. I'm no guarantees on that. So this engine is going to stay mostly stock, aside from some cool long tube headers for cool sounds. Obviously an intake, just cause. And other than that, it's going to be mostly stock. Mark my words. Up here's where I keep the Porsche goodies. Here's the giant factory heavy oversized gas tank that holds like 22 gallons. Way too big. It's made of steel. I'm going to be making an aluminum fuel cell that holds like 12 or 14 because I don't need that much fuel. It's just going to be a around town cruiser. I'm also putting, with the reverse ring and pinion, I'm doing a 4.8 ring and pinion gear. So that'll make my RPM top speed be around 150 miles per hour. My highway cruising is going to be shit, but I'm not really planning on doing that at all. These are the bumpers that came on the car. They're kind of rough, not perfect, but I do have fiberglass replacements, which are a lot lighter, so I'll be using those instead. And here's all the goodies. Here's the rotors I'll be running. I don't have the factory ones off to give you a comparison, but these are decent size, pretty good for, you know, how old of a car it is, and it'll be like just over 2,000 pounds, so it'll be plenty of braking, I think, for it. Bought a bunch of red carpeting, good stuff. I'm just gonna make this myself. Basically, this is just flat carpeting. I just have to shape it and probably sew it together or something like that. Box of sound deadening right there. Already bought that for all the inside. This is part that I had off my E46 project. I kept it just for the Porsche because it'll work perfect. It fits perfectly up in the frunk area. And yes, I have to call it a frunk every time. I like saying the word frunk. This will be for sale. That'll be for sale. Sale. It was a factory AC car, so that's kind of cool. This is the fuel system, or the surge tank, from the BMW. Probably just going to be running one of these pumps, and then maybe put the other one on my desk cart or something like that. So this will be way too much fuel for the car, way more than it needs. No big deal. When I add power later on, that'll be super helpful. Also, a big fancy fuel filter and a lift pump is somewhere over there in our parts area. Here's the factory T-tray spoiler it came with. It looks really bad, but it's actually in pretty good shape. The rubber is still pretty squishy. So I'll be able to sell this and make some money back on that. So that's cool. Also, when I bought the flares, it came with I'm pretty sure this is a 964 spoiler. So I don't know if I'm going to keep that or sell it. I might keep it because I want a 964 eventually. And what better reason to buy 964s than since I have a spoiler for one, right? It's way over there, but those are the bumpers for the car. They're fiberglass, and they weigh so much less than the stock ones. It's ridiculous. Stock ones are really heavy. They have like a giant aluminum thing and the shocks and all that. I'm just gonna make a simple bash bar setup and call it a day. Maybe put a jack point on it just because, you know, I can do weldy things. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna be running these 5x130 to 5x114 adapters for a couple of reasons, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, but I don't give a shit. I'm going to make hub-centric rings for them, so they will be somewhat legit. I've run spacers, bolt-on spacers, which are the same thing as adapters. I've run them on every drift car ever, and I can't get that back up there. I've run them on every drift car ever, and I've never had an issue before anybody says anything, so I don't want to hear it. But that'll let me sell the Fook wheels, which are worth way too much money, and I don't have to buy Porsche wheels with, you know, Porsche lug pattern. I can use those wheels, or those wheels, or those wheels, or those wheels, or any of those wheels. So, a lot more options, and, you know, it's just, if I need a spare tire, if I get a blowout, I don't have to worry about finding a 5x130. I can just use any of these, and it'll be fine. So basically, you've seen everything I got so far. You've seen what my plans are mostly. And basically my budget for this car is gonna be $15,000. It might sound unrealistic because I already have $11,000 spent, but with the amount of things that I'm gonna sell and, you know, trade stuff, whatever, I'm parting out the SVX, so the engine's basically gonna be free, if not a negative balance. So I won't exactly count it as free. I'm going to count the amount that I would sell that engine for. So basically whatever that is, along with the parts I pulled from the BMW, I'm going to count the value that I sold those, or that I would have sold those for to another person on eBay or whatever, just so I can keep track of how much money I am fully invested into it and not just like cash out of pocket, just because I really want to keep track and see if I can break the keep it under 15,000, because that would be really cool for a super sweet car. And then the value of it when it's done is probably gonna be like $40,000. I'm not planning on selling it. I will not sell this car ever unless somebody gives me a fuckload of money for it. But other than that, this is going to be my dream car. Can't wait. Hopefully you guys can't wait. A lot of updates once I finish the other cars. Very soon, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing something cool to this. So stay tuned. Like this video. Drop a comment if you feel like it. Definitely subscribe to my channel so you can watch me do a ton of stuff to a Porsche. because I'm hyped. You should be hyped too.